start recording now, and then I'll just be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about, same as last time.
Okay, sounds good. Um, for Anna, you said to stay back, like to hide.
Hmm?
Um, I usually play like around here. I don't know if this is a good spot.
Yeah, pretty decent here.
Uh, yeah, well, they're dead.
Yep. So you're saying that you were climbing on Reinhardt. Last time, did we not go over Ana?
We went over Anna mostly.
Hmm.
I hear someone.
So did you start playing more Reinhardt, or how did that work?
It was just 50-50, so
Hmm.
it kind of like
Okay.
dropped my motivation when I started playing Reinhardt and I won every game.
Okay. So you were still struggling with Ana, and you want some more help on it. All right.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm reloading.
Okay. Right now we're putting ourselves very far away from fights, so remember, we might have gone over this last time, but Ana's a mid-ranged character because she likes to be able to land abilities. So that means that positioning yourselves slightly closer to the fight might be better, though making sure we're still using cover, because there we wandered very far out into the open, right? So cover usage, good positioning is the usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. But then also just like, instead of sitting all the way in the back and sniping, getting more into a medium range can help us heal our team better. But then also, I'll probably say the big thing is be able to land their abilities on enemies better, because they're both projectiles and they become very difficult to land at long ranges. So, starting off maybe like on this right side or the left side might be a good idea, and then that gives us like angles to work with for nades. Okay.
Oh, that didn't do it. Can she not be
When I didn't notice. If she has a fortify active, which is one of her abilities, she cannot be slept. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Mm. Yeah. So that's when she turns gold. She's not able to receive crowd control, so stuns and boops. And with nades, noticing that we're typically going a little low, so make sure we're arcing it, right? We're aiming up higher than we're expecting, because it does have an arc, right? It is going to travel downwards, so we need to aim it upwards the further away they are. Um,
Oh,
so last time, did we? Yeah, okay, so I actually gave you notes. So I'm gonna real quickly take a look at those notes, right? We talked about last time, the main points were number 1, positioning, number 2, ability usage or nade, right? Then awareness, mechanics, and ult usage. So yeah, that's what it looked like were the main points of the last session. So
yeah.
far, noticing that it's almost looking like that's the exact same, like you are still needing to work on the positioning and the nade usage is looking like they're very prevalent as of the moment. Um, so that would be one, just my first glance here, which we can talk a little bit more in depth if we need to afterwards.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, make sure to take some time and put effort into how you're landing your abilities. Right, don't think about it for half a second and then fire them out there. You know, you can be thinking about these for multiple seconds before you're even launching them, into the enemy team. Making sure we're watching for them to waiting for them to group up and looking for better placement, right? Like that one was much better than the initial one, right? Just 2 people versus 1 person. Yeah, mechanics is looking fine, same as last time. Okay. If okay, last time we talked about off angling, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So notice during the entire fight, we stood on this like left side, right, where all the shields are blocking us, and we were staring straight at them from the main angle. Whereas if we just walked to this top right side, where like there's no contention, there's nobody looking at us, we could have very easily just thrown nades and whatnot around their shields, right, and gotten around them.
Yeah.
So making sure we're looking to take those off angles, retake high ground. Oh, pretty good. Nano. Nice sleep. Slightly higher so we can get the Orisa in there. Side set, good nade as well. Very nice. Sleep's looking good.
Fuck, that was a bad name.
Okay. Gain a little loss of what to shoot at. Always prioritize healing if it's an option. Damage comes when healing is not needed, right? If there's absolutely nothing else to do, then you damage, right? But you always prioritize, like if you have a critical teammate, that's always going to come as a priority over a critical enemy.
Rissa threw a shield.
Yep, I believe it's also blocked by your teammate there. So watch for your teammates to walk in front of your shots, walk to the left, to the right of them. Good job keeping high ground there, that's a good idea. Oh, until we dropped, right? Make sure, when you get close to the edge, a way to, you can end up crouching, and that'll make you'll slow down your movement speed, which will make it easier to not walk off the edge. But also just make sure we're paying attention. Okay, so there with the sleep, I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but sleep is, or sorry, flicks when it comes to sleeping, right? So flicks are anytime you're like swinging your crosser around very, very fast. Those are only necessary in certain situations and not in others. I think we'll go in depth on that after this game is done, or the round is done. Because we don't have time for it at the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Lost that.
If you don't need to rush the point because you see other teammates can touch for you, it might be better to go and come out the high ground so that you're not dying instantly as an option. All right. Besides that, so let's talk about flicking, and then I have a kind of a, I guess, bigger question after the game is done. So flicks are necessary when you're going up against fast-moving targets. Again, when like someone sneaks up behind you, when somebody just kind of pops onto your screen, right? And the common factor there is that you're not already looking at the person, right? That your crosshair needs to travel somewhere very, very fast. But when you're already looking directly at somebody, then flicking's not necessary, right? In fact, it can just be a hindrance. It can put you off of the target. So there, when Reinhardt charges us and we're kind of like aiming already in his general direction, and we're like swinging our camera around very, very fast, it's not really going to do very much for us besides just make it harder to hit the shot.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Make sure that we are actively looking to land our abilities and get value, because when we are having that lack of value, we might even be losing that fight before we, get the chance to win, right? So
Yeah.
that was a great nade, but it's happening halfway through the fight, right? Imagine if we can get that nade at the beginning of the fight, where it's probably going to get a lot more value. So make sure we're actively being intentional about landing those abilities, looking to position ourselves to land those abilities.
Oh, that was bad.
Nice shots. Request healing, right? Watch your health bar. That's gonna, so that way you're not sitting at 100 HP for the 30 seconds we have been. Requesting healing is just gonna let your other support know, hey, I'm here, I need healing. Very recommend binding it. It'd be very helpful.
Oh, I think I have it, yeah. I just haven't been using it.
Mhm.
I can ult you.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just wait for them to come down. They might be wrapping around the backside. Yep.
Alright. Wouldn't you have been able to do the same thing just from staying high ground? Right?
Yeah.
Just would have been, a lot safer than running straight into a Reaper, right?
I'll just stay here.
Yep. Okay. Make sure we're watching that Reaper, because you probably could have gotten a nano off on him there.
He solo ulted me.
So taking a look at notes from last time. Okay, we didn't talk about that, I guess, maybe. Why do you think he died there?
I wasn't listening to like
Exactly.
my,
Yep.
yeah.
You nail it on the head, right? So it's just making sure we're keeping our ears open, listening, so that way Reaper's not walking up next to us, and we can actually sleep him faster, which might actually, instead of us dying, that might actually let us kill him, right? Our teammates kill him. Yep, good time for a heal nade.
Reaper going back again. Wait time.
Watch your health bar, right? It's time to be requesting healing, right? Nade may not even be necessary if we just request healing faster.
Right, I have ult. If you want to charge in.
Alright. Last time did we discuss like kind of your nano priorities when it comes to Anon? Who's best to be nanoing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So here would probably be Reaper or Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in that last fight, we definitely probably should have been nanoing Reinhardt. And what's the reason why we should have been nanoing Reinhardt? Oh, sorry, I'll talk to you in a second.
Um, yeah, we lost.
Yeah. So in that last fight, I think it was actually a good idea to nano Reinhardt. After, but actually, let me figure out. So, Soldier actually visored during that fight, and we just didn't pay attention to it. Right? We didn't notice that he visored. We weren't paying attention. We weren't listening. And then therefore, we probably could have nanoed Soldier. But then after Soldier's gone, we probably, nanoing Reinhardt is fine because nobody had their ultimates. But I'd say one of the big issues was that we just didn't press tab very frequently. Don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I'd recommend highly press tab at least once in between every single fight. It should probably even be more frequently than that, but that's a good benchmarker is between every single fight. This lets you know, do we have, what ultimates do we have? What is the enemy team running? What is our team running? So I do have a question for you. So, over this past, because it's been since our last session, let me take a look. We did our last session the 27th, so it's been like 2 weeks since our last session. Have you just not played very often during that 2 weeks, or do you feel like there's something else that was wrong within that time frame?
Actually, I've been playing a decent amount with
Mm-hmm.
Anna after our
Mm-hmm.
talk, but I just kept dropping in rank, and then
Mm-hmm.
I went from 23
Okay.
to 25, 22 with Ryan. So then I was just like, might
Okay.
as well play Ryan
So
if I'm back with him.
So did you end so when it came to your Ana gameplay, like how far did you end up dropping with her? Like did you get out of the coaching session and then drop a couple hundred SR, or like how did it work?
Yeah, I dropped a couple hundred SR. I was at like 19 something when you're coaching me, but
S-
wait, I think it might have been, yeah.
Okay,
Not
so you dropped pretty far. Just identifying reasons. Was this over the course of like one day, over the course of multiple days, over the
It was a couple days,
couple
so
days? Okay.
maybe yeah, and then
All
I
right.
lost motivation, so then I went
Mhm.
tank.
Okay. So one thing I would say is that just expect there to be a skill curve where like you're going to struggle to implement some of the things to begin with, which might mean that you're not playing at your 100, right? When you focus on improvement, you're not necessarily going to be doing your 100% best, which means that you might end up losing in the short term, but I'd say stick with it because in the long term that's going to lead to improvement, which does lead to more won games. So I'd say a couple hundred is unfortunate. I typically that's not what happens. Now let's think through some other things here. Do you recall off of memory what was the application process of what we talked about? How do you look to work on the things we discussed?
Usually I play competitive and I tried to take in a couple tips, but I guess once it wasn't working, I just went back to how I used to play. That probably because I was trying to improve.
Mhm.
So I guess what you said is I dropped rank, and so then I went back to how.
Yeah, so let's say during that time where you dropped rank, how are you approaching the application, right? So we talked about all this stuff. How are you trying to go about putting it into your gameplay?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I would competitive once we had our meeting, I would try to go on top of anywhere high ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also try to use my nades as much, but as you can see, they don't hit much.
Mm-hmm.
I think you did show me a way to aim, but it's like uh, I'm not sure why my 100%, the ult percentage thing isn't like aligned to yours. So
Mm,
it like
so
um
it's not going
it's
where
not
you're
like
trying to aim?
yeah, it's not going where I'm hitting, so then
Yeah, go to the training range. Would you be down to go there?
yeah.
Yeah, they're there. Um, So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, go ahead. I'm interested. That'd be weird. I mean, it's possible that that's like a screen resolution thing, but I would be that's a new one for me. Okay, so if you recall, go ahead.
I think you said here
Mm-hmm.
aiming.
Okay, that's the issue. It's only when you're scoping in. You have to be scoping in when you do it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
Okay.
scoping when you do it. Try it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
There
that
you go.
makes so much more sense.
Yep.
Okay.
So, all right. So continuing. So this is a review because I see that it's on the notes, but as a review for you, and I'd say it's an important thing to keep in mind. So I'd recommend, make sure listen to this part because it's really important. This is how you apply the things we talked about, right? And that is that while you're going through your gameplay, you want to make sure that you're not that you're focusing on it, right? That you're not autopiloting, that you're not just playing to play, that you're not, you're not reverting back to the old ways and just kind of existing within your gameplay, because then that just leads to you stagnating. It's not going to lead to any improvement, right? And also just focusing on winning, purely focusing on winning, will also just lead to you staying the same, not going anywhere. Whereas when you improve and get better at the game, that means that you're going to be winning more because you're better at the video game and you carry easier. Now, what that looks like within your gameplay is that you're going to be focusing on one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. So last time, if we said positioning was number 1, you would pick out positioning. And if you feel like positioning is too much, you could even go, you could go in a little bit deeper and you could go, okay, this game, I'm going to purely focus on cover usage, right? And high ground usage, and that's it. So, if that is the case, you'd be thinking to yourself, cover, 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 high ground, high ground, high ground, high ground, high ground, cover, cover, positioning, positioning, right? And you give yourself a constant reminder while you play to be thinking through those parts of your gameplay, right? And when you think about, hey, I need to go take high ground, and hey, I should be on cover right now. Well, then your cover usage and your high ground usage and your positioning is going to look more solid. It's going to be better. When you keep that up for a certain period of time, it's not going to just, you're not going to play like go throughout your gameplay and play one day and then all of a sudden you're perfect at it, right? That's not how it works. After a certain period of time, this could be a week, this could be 2 weeks, it depends on how much time you put in and how fast you are at learning it. Then it'll form as a habit, right? Once it forms as a habit, then you don't need to focus on it as much. You can move on to something else, right? This is the the basics of, I didn't mean to say generic, the basics of learning and improvement, and that applies to Overwatch, that applies to most other things in real life as well. So when you're going throughout your gameplay, make sure you're intentionally thinking through it. So far from what I've seen, you can go ahead and queue up for a game now. So far from what I've seen, we you were struggling with a lot of the same stuff that we talked about last time, which shows me that like we're struggling with the application and we're struggling with applying it and putting it into our gameplay. So
Yeah.
here since we've gone over a lot of the basic concepts, I'm going to now be talking a little bit more while you're playing. The idea behind this is I'm going to be guiding you, giving you reminders. I'm going to be that voice in your head that says positioning, 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 nades, 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 and I'm going to give you those constant reminders so that you can get better with them, and then that will hopefully start the process of getting into the habit of reminding yourself of knowing this is the time where I should be doing this is the time where I should be doing that. I should be repositioning here, I should be nading here, right? So that's the idea behind it. I'm basically walking you through, giving you a guide. Just yeah, and that's the idea behind this, right? And then that will get you started on the process and the idea behind the application process, and then of course I'll also mention things as they come up that need to be worked on. So that's, I guess, the basics for the moment. Keep at it, don't be discouraged. Hundreds of SR drops happen. I've had it happen, and it's not fun, right? But if you kind of stop after that point, then improvement doesn't happen, right? It's not,
Yeah.
you're not going to go anywhere if you just, if you lose a couple hundred SR and then say, okay, I'm done,
Yeah.
right? So let's go through. We're going to intentionally focus on 2 things: positioning well and landing our nades. So those are the 2 things that we're going to be focusing on here, right? When you're by yourself, since I'm here as a double brain for you, we can do 2. When you're by yourself, don't do 2. It's not going to work too well, right? So, yep, that's just what we're going to be working with here.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. So to start off here, we're probably pressing tab. We want to see what comp is our team running. Who should I be nanoing, right? Do you recall last time, did we talk about coming up with a priority list at all for our teammates with nanos?
Yeah, I think we kind of went over that, but should it be Roadhog with his ult and mostly Soldier?
Yeah, I'd say Soldier with his ult is number 1, right? Then number 2 would be Roadhog with his ult, and then Reinhardt would be number 3, right? So remember, it's 1, 2, 3. That way, if one's dead, one can't do it, whatever, you go to number 2, then you go to number 3 for the same reason. That'll help you come up with the plan ahead of time. Yep. So Roadhog's feeding up there. That's fine. We still win without him. Right now, your positioning is fine. That is where you want to be. Maybe back up slightly. Use the ledge as cover. Right about now, we're looking for Nade usage. We're just paying attention to where are they? Are they grouped up? Yeah. When you're at typically that scope tech's meant for like a medium to long range or long range. So if they're more like a close to medium, then you don't need it, right? And then it might just mess with you a little bit. Yeah.
Your Roadhog. Oh crap.
All right. So first thing, watching your health bar. Nade if you need to get yourself up. Other than that, request healing. Besides that, that's unfortunate that the soldier teleported up there. But if you know teleporters up there, it might be better to back up than to push forwards, right? Back up
Yeah.
towards your back high ground. Yep. Again, great. This is a good spot for you to be in. That's a good idea. Probably you're going to be better off top left versus in this far back because it's going to give you better nade and sleep. Being closer for those while also giving you better angles for them as well. Okay. Right there in Hog and Soldier probably would have been a good time for a nade, right? So just watching from the group up, tossing in a nade.
Oh, that was so bad.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I need to focus more on.
Yep. Don't mind it. Like, if you can, like, I will tell you, like, if you're messing up with your positioning, focus intentionally on your nade usage as of the moment, right? That should be pretty much the number 1 thing on your mind now. Not the only thing on your mind, but the number 1 thing that you're thinking about. So think about what are the obstacles in the way? How am I going to land this, right? Making sure you're intentionally thinking about it and putting effort into it. Right, so like as they're coming out, we're going to be looking for it. They're far enough away to where we can probably use the scope tech. Yep, perfect. Not a lot of issues there. Okay, right now we're thinking about our nano usage, right? Pressing tab. Who are we nanoing this fight, right? Because we want to know, do people have ultimates? We haven't pressed tab yet, right? Does Soldier have ult? Does Roadhog have ult?
Fortunate.
Perfect on me nanoing, yeah. Watch your Roadhog's health bar there. Apologies for talking. Yeah, so listening there is good, but I was in the way. But you also are going to have people talking in your games too in your ear. So make sure that we're still listening and keeping our ears open.
Yeah.
Okay, here when we're coming out, we can maybe be looking to rotate around top right, though if you don't feel like you have the time to, then that's of course fine. Looks like there's a soldier up there.
Fuck, I don't have a nade.
Okay, so if you see that there's like a soldier over there because you saw him kill Junkrat, then you no longer want to go off on your own because you know a soldier is going to kill you. Taking that high ground's only is only acceptable if you like have your whole team going with you, or if there's no enemies up there, right?
Okay.
Because you can't really 1v1 a soldier too well. Oh, wonderful sleep. Okay. In the middle of a fight, you don't really have the time to make that long rotation, so you're probably better off sitting and waiting there on that left side and trying to get value from there. Alright, so
Yeah.
in that situation, lost fight. So if you recall, when if we not talk about this, here it is.
Agreeing.
If we've lost the fight, you look to get out if possible, or else you let them kill you, right? They're probably not gonna be able to get out if it's like just us and we have 3 people chasing us. Okay, maybe looking to toss in a nade, remembering that we're using these basically off a cooldown. Requesting healing, right? That way you get your Moira to come look at you. See, now she's looking at you and she comes over and helps, right? Looking for our ultimate right about now, right? Sometime soon.
That was whatever. Well, I did see soldier.
That's because you don't have a soldier. Right? And then that
Oh, he
comes
switched.
yeah, and that comes from pressing tab again, right? Alright. So in the last fight, right? Press tab real quick. Okay, so Reaper didn't have ultimate. Press tab more frequently, right? Remember to be doing that. Though of course, like I said, don't stress if it's too much to focus on. I'm just mentioning it. It doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to be perfect this game, right? But I will say that there were some issues because we weren't pressing tab. So making sure pressing tab in that situation, Reinhardt probably would have been better than Junkrat, right? Just because Reinhardt's more consistent. He's a tank. He's taking more damage. So Reinhardt is a higher priority than you trying to go for Junkrat.
Yeah, I'm already getting, getting flamed already.
Never stop fighting for what you believe in.
Yeah, so Reaper. Would it be Reaper Road? And I don't know why we don't have shields, but
No, I mean that's fine. It's gonna happen. Right. Honestly, even at a higher rank, shields isn't a necessity. So it's a preference. Or I mean, like that's a thing that lower ranked players think they want. They want a shield but a shield, a lot of times it's a band-aid for not having good positioning, is what a lot of times a shield can add up to. Though that's not to downplay the value of shields. Okay, so here, once we walk forwards, whenever possible, we're trying to get top left, right? That gives us good, not that top left, their side top left, right? Yeah, right where Reinhardt's at. So if they're contesting it, then we're fine, but they just dropped, right? So now we can be rotating right about now, right? Looking to go top left as our team while we're watching our team. There's a stairway on your left side too there.
where there is.
Yeah, there's behind you right there. That's where I meant for you to go.
There's a Mercy here.
Say it slightly faster. Yeah, don't be afraid as well to just throw Nade in to do damage, right? Like when you're just shooting at the sim, just toss it in there. It's gonna help kill her faster. Don't be hesitant with it. Like we said last time, and I said it this time again, it's an ability you're using pretty much off a cooldown. You're using it pretty much every single time you get it, right? And then, yeah, right now we're pushing forwards. We don't want to be lagging too far behind. we can stay cart, or if we see our whole team's on cart, we could go top right when we get the chance. Maybe after next fight. And watch the flick that wasted our shot there. All right, they're down to Reinhardt, so they might not have something to block our nades now if we toss one in. Oh, never mind, they have a Sigma. Okay, we do have Nano this fight, so we're thinking, do we need Nano? Who are we nanoing if we do use it? Right, you could be pressing tab even now if you need to. Right, checking, okay, well we don't, Roadhog has ult, right? So maybe you go for Roadhog here.
I have ult Roadhog.
Probably would be a big nade on them if they don't have a shield there.
No one's killing. We're in. Okay, Roadhog's in there. Like sometimes you can nano him before he ults if you're. Oh, watch that at close ranges, right? It's not gonna be effective.
You look tired.
Right, like if Roadhog is in there on top of them and you know he has his ultimate, right? That might be a perfect time to just nano him because then that will make him go, oh, I should use my ult, right?
Yeah.
Now here, do we have somebody else who has an ult now? Okay.
Group up with the hog, so I can go.
I can ult you.
I'm probably gonna get CC chain though.
We need to push up.
Massive nade. Right, that opens up for a kill. Okay, we're still looking for Nano sometime soon here. Massive sleep. Oh, let him
I
sleep.
shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let him sleep. Look, so rather than waking him up, let him sleep. Look for the Nano, right? Again, honestly, like even if Reaper doesn't want to, it's like I'd rather force him into going in for a Blossom, which is going to be your best play, than to just kind of sit there and not use the ult, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now we're looking, since we're in between the fight, we're looking to maybe take a high ground. Probably top left would be easiest here.
Just a scratch. You'll be fine. You're powered up. Get in there.
Good abilities.
Go. I'll keep you.
Okay.
Is gonna go on the payload? Hello?
I guess I gotta take it.
Yep. Usually it's your job. It's your job on the first half of a point, and the tank's job on the second half of a point, right? So when you get like halfway here, then it's your tank's job to take over. Okay, we can be tossing in nades. Wouldn't recommend standing still on cart.
You're going to be okay. I'm under attack.
So in that situation, look to hit both of you with it, right? You can self-heal and anti-hero if you just throw it in between yourselves.
I've come back from worse. Take your medicine. 60 seconds remaining.
And
Oh, he was high ground.
yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I said yep, keep your ears open. That's what I was gonna say. You have surround, like just checking, you have surround sound enabled, yeah?
This is much better.
Do you,
I'm
go,
not sure what I have.
yeah, sure. Make sure that you have surround sound enabled on your headset. If it's not an option, go into your sound settings and turn on for Overwatch and turn on Dolby Atmos for headphones, which I can demonstrate after we're done if we need it. Maybe you need me to.
You're powered up. Get
I should have waited, but
Yep, let him get closer because he was very far away from there, as well as I don't even know if he has his ult. Don't scope in when somebody's on top of your head, right? Firstly, he's within your scope range, or like he's within your unscope range, right? And then secondly, you're just standing still, right? Letting him shoot you for free. I believe last time we talked about your unscoped versus scoped range. That's something we
yeah.
discussed. So, you know, you want to be unscoping there, that way you're not standing still letting him shoot you for free. Okay. What was something I was gonna? I feel like it's something on the tip of my tongue there. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was the sound settings. So sound settings. Firstly, I might recommend turning off your music, turning down or off your music volume, as that can just clutter with sounds, right? That can make it harder to hear things. Check to like, do you have headset software, right? Like, do you have like a brand name headset that like has software on it?
I have Sennheisers. I don't know if those have.
Yeah. Did you ever download any drivers or anything for them?
No.
No. So, you can check afterwards, but for a moment, just turn on Dolby Atmos for headphones in game, and then after we're done here, you can go and check like, is there like software for the headsets? Because sometimes those can be better quality than this in game. But yeah, it's right there in the middle of your screen. Dolby Atmos for headphones under the sound settings. Yeah. So this should give you better spatial sound. So I mean, if you want to go to the training range, maybe you can try that out a little bit, like, and just like see if you can hear a difference between the two. But this should allow you to hear people in that surround you, right? You can hear, is it behind me? Is it in front of me?
fighting for what you believe in.
So maybe go over to like the bots that are shooting and like spin it like in, do like a little circle and hear it coming from different directions.
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Yeah, so that hopefully will help with audio awareness, right? Besides that, let's see. We have 10 minutes left here. So trying to think of what we do with that time. Have you adjusted your Ana Nano Boost sensitivity at all? Is that something we discussed last time?
No.
No. So if you go into your settings, and you go to options, and you go to all heroes, which is top right. Nope. Yep. You go back. All heroes, top right.
Top right.
Yep.
Okay.
Ana, right there. And you scroll down a little bit. Now, if you see your nano boost sensitivity, which is under hero, the bottom of the hero. So what that means is when that is at 10%, to nano somebody, you have to be staring directly at them, which is not something you want, but it would not register if you were off of them. Now, when it is 100%, it's going to be very lenient, so it might go to the person who's closest to you, not necessarily the person who your crosshairs on. So lowering this a little bit can help you be a little bit more accurate, especially in groups of people and like people who are like right next to you who might accidentally steal it. So typically I'd recommend between 60 to 80 is my recommended range, depending on how confident you are in your aim. Your mechanics, I would say, are decent for your rank, but I might recommend for you somewhere like between 70 and 80.
Okay.
So that should just help a little bit with landing more accurate nano boosts. Now, let's see, is that it? I think, yeah, let's move on to the end credit stuff. So I'm going to stream here and go over a bunch of things here. Stop watching. All right. So, main points. Ability usage. Nade definitely would say, like, as of the moment is looking like I would say this is the number one thing for you to work on, right? Just getting good value nades in there, doing things, making sure they're actively having participation within your gameplay, right? It's going to find you tremendous value if we're actively doing things with it. So make sure that you're looking to use it more often, right? Too often, like we'll like hold on to it for the duration where we could have had 2 out there doing things, right? So like if we just threw it and then threw it immediately after we get it back throughout our whole gameplay, we'd probably get maybe like 3 times as many out there, right? Or 2 times as many
Yeah.
out there. Now, besides that, aim at scope tech, which we discussed. Aim at the feet in between as many people as possible. You're doing 2 things with your nades. Firstly, you're actively seeking them out, but then also look for opportunities, right? Because sometimes people just like maybe we were doing something else, and then people just happen to group up into like a 4-man ball right in front of us, and then we wouldn't throw a nade, right? So keep your
Yeah.
eyes open and watch for those opportunities, because people will group up right, like spontaneously, right? And you can actively wait and watch for them to group up, but you can also just go for them when you see them, right? So there's a lot of situations where people would just group up and we didn't necessarily watch for it or see it, right? Additionally, remember all the different things that can get in the way of our nades, such as abilities and ultimates, or not, that's not, what am I saying? Such as tanking abilities and shields and tanks themselves and our teammates, right? All those things can jump in the way of our abilities. So we want to make sure that we're walking to the side of our teammates, getting around all those other things, right? We can just walk to the side of them. Sometimes we'd go high grounds and then just completely like we would take a high ground and then not really utilize the high ground to get around the nade, right? Like we'd go to a high ground and then just sit there healing rather than like nading them, right? So in any case, right, make sure we're putting a lot of effort into our nades. Sleeps, honestly, not doing too shabby. Of course, is not perfect. Don't randomly flick with it when you're not necessary. When not necessary, you flick when you're not already looking at somebody. When you're already looking at somebody, flicking is not needed, right? Overall, ability usage, probably, I would say, especially Nade, goes to, like, we'll put that at a high priority. Now, let's go number 2, or not number 2 here, but second thing, ultimate usage. Ults, tied very closely with this is pressing tab. We didn't press tab enough. This goes into awareness, but it's also tied in with your ultimate usage. Press tab, that'll let you know, what characters is my team running? Sometimes we didn't even know what characters our team was on. This will let you know what ultimates do we have. You need to know what ults we have because that'll dictate who you're actually nanoing, right?
Yeah.
Come up with at the very beginning of each round, what's my nano priority look like, right? Pick out the top 3 people to nano and the conditions on them so that you know who to nano and when, right? Make sure we're not holding on to nano for extended periods of time because then it just doesn't do anything at all. Also, don't nano people too early before they're even close enough to do anything, right, with the soldier. Overall, nano is like a medium priority for you to work on, right? Mechanics. Make sure that we're remembering when to scope versus unscope, right? Unscope happens when you are 10 meters. So unscoping is 10 meters away from squishy targets, anything that's not a tank, 15 meters away from tanks, right? Scoping happens at anything past 10 meters on squishies, anything past 15 meters on tanks, right? You make sure not hard scoping when like somebody the Junkrat's on top of you shooting at you, right? Besides that, make sure that we're prioritizing healing our teammates over damaging enemies. Sometimes I think in general you might be damaging slightly more often. Like if you're talking about like ratios, like you're as of the moment maybe damaging like 35% of the time And typically as Ana, there's two main times where you look for left click value, right? When people are low HP, when you're, I guess let's say, name a couple. When people are low and you're finishing them off with a final blow, when you're forced into a duel with somebody, when you see another opportunity, or if you have absolutely nothing else to do. In a lot of situations, your ability usage will come as a higher priority than just shooting people. Sometimes we would have our abilities on cooldown, like we would have that, or I guess off of cooldown, right? We would have them available, and then we'd be sitting there shooting at people, right? Like who are full HP targets, right? When you should be using that time to go for a nade, because going for a nade would just be higher value, probably secure kill, because you don't really do have a high output of damage with your gun, right? Of burst damage as well. So maybe go for damage slightly less, heal your teammates when they need it, look for your abilities more. Overall mechanics goes like a low to medium priority, not super big, but still needs work. Okay, positioning, make sure you're using cover. Good positioning is usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. Make sure we're taking high grounds. You did much better with that on our second game, but make sure we're looking to rotate there, like anytime we have the opportunity, right? Like if people aren't on your team aren't immediately critical and needing healing, and if the fight's not in full force and happening, like if it's, especially like if it's in between a fight, that's the perfect time for you to be rotating and taking high ground, right? Besides that, make sure we're not standing a mile away if possible. Medium position, close to medium range positioning with our team. With our team, it's closer to. Sorry, let's clarify here, right? It's against our team, we have a close to medium ranged away from them, but it's more so close. Against the enemy team, it's close to medium from them, but more so medium, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so overall, positioning goes to probably a medium high, right? Is probably the second highest. Other things to mention within positioning I forgot to bring into the play are the 3 checkboxes of Ana positioning I believe we talked about last time, yeah? Do we call them at all?
Yeah.
3, did I actually not talk about those? Um, Actually, I did not talk about 3 checkbox. At least I don't have them listed in the notes. 3 checkboxes of Ana positioning, specific positioning. 1, can I see my team? You need to be able to see your team, right? Have line of sight on them. 2, can I land abilities, right? Easiest way to land abilities is the off angle, which I believe you said we talked about, right? Main angle, right? Everything blocking me. Shields, tanks, abilities, teammates, right? We walk to the side, instantly around all of that. High ground does the exact same thing, right? That one was really important. I'd say look to use that more often. Sometimes we would like walk to the off angle and then just not use our abilities, right? Like we
Yeah.
would take the high grounds, we'd see us take the high ground, and then we'd come to high ground, have a perfect angle for a nade, and then we'd start healing the Roadhog who is like 3/4 HP, right?
Yeah.
So then number 3 is, can the enemy team see me, right? If you're just healing, use cover, no reason to let them see you, right? So overall, that's medium high. And then finally, awareness, pay attention to your health bar, request healing when we're low. Press tab in between every single fight, even more frequent would be better, right? Besides that, make sure paying attention to what is our team composition running, what's happening in kill feed, right? When are we winning? When are we losing? Making sure when we've lost a fight, look to get out if possible. If not, let them kill you. Pay attention to just what's generally going on around us. Where's my team at? Where's the enemy team at? Listening with your audio, like paying attention to our surroundings and listening for where enemies are at, right? Just generally paying attention to our surroundings. Overall, that probably went to like a medium high priority as well. So putting that in order real quick, I would say number 1 went to abilities, specifically your nade usage. Number 2 went to your positioning. Number 3 went to your ultimate use. Sorry, not your ultimate, your awareness. Number 4 is your ultimate usage. Number 5 is your mechanics, right? Focus on, I would say, it to start off. Focus on just on your ability usage. Use it more frequently. Intentionally put focus into landing your nades better. Focus on that first. It's not that broad of a category, so it should hopefully not be too overwhelming. put intentionality into it, focus on it for maybe around like a week, somewhere between that. Once you feel like you're getting a lot more consistent at it, move on to number 2, which would be positioning, right? Don't feel like you have to completely ignore everything else. It's you're putting a focus, not a 100. Focus doesn't mean 100% attention. Focus means I'm putting like 50% into my abilities and then like 10%, 15% into everything else, right? So you can still be focusing on your ability usage while also getting good positioning in, right? So that all makes sense. Do you have any questions about anything we've discussed?
No, it makes a lot of sense. I'll definitely try to, you know, try to implement these, and on our next meeting, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
So then I'm gonna stop the recording.